Okay, hello, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Digital Transformation in Music Conference. My name is Laura, and today I'm going to be talking about games and music in 2020. There's a really long history of music and games together, but my presentation today has to do with exciting new developments that we are seeing in the gaming world that are taking music beyond simply a background afterthought and bringing them into the creation of performance spaces, artist marketing opportunities, and ever more creative virtual reality experiences. Throughout my presentation, I'm going to share my screen and mostly show you images of what I'm talking about, and that's mainly because it's a lot more fun to look at than staring at my face throughout this presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. Let's get that set up. All right. So some of the first examples of the use of licensed music in video games came during the era of games such as Guitar Hero and Rock Band, where you would play notes on a plastic console guitar as glowing orbs flew at you. There's also a long history of games as sync for music. For example, FIFA games have always been a great place to break new artists and tracks, and because people spend so much time playing these games, they hear the tracks a lot, and music licensing is a key part of that. I'm going to give you a few stats just to give you an idea of the massive size of the global games and music industries. The industry research firm Superdata thinks that the global games industry was worth more than $120 billion in 2019. The most lucrative game last year was Fortnite, which generated about $1.8 billion of revenue in 2019. To compare, global recorded music revenues were about $20.2 billion in 2019. However, there's a lot of synergy between the two sectors, so it's not really like it's a competition. Newzoo, which is the leading games and esports analytics firm, estimates that 2.7 billion gamers will spend $159.3 billion on games in 2020, and the games market will surpass $200 billion by the year 2023. Just like in the music sector, the games industry has seen a shift away from boxed retail to digital download stores. So it's not always about buying a game, as free-to-play games make lots of money from in-game purchases. And Fortnite's an excellent example of that. We're also seeing the emergence of games subscription services that operate similar to Spotify, as well as a lot of cloud gaming. So people are not really storing games and music on their hardware anymore. 2020 is going to be a year of transition from hardware to more software-based games and music. Now I'd like to talk about games as a form of music marketing. Some examples of artists appearing in games for promotional purposes are Steve Aoki, the DJ, who was in a Star Trek game. Also, Garth Brooks has had a long-standing relationship with the game Words with Friends, and he even has his own game tile. New metal band Korn has played a performance inside a mobile game where fans could show up, and instead of playing a game, they watched Korn play a gig. These are mainly marketing partnerships. The K-pop band BTS World launched its own mobile game in 2012, which plays on the collecting instinct of fans. You collect cards for each of the band members. It's also a platform for content such as artwork and videos catering to K-pop fans. You can buy virtual items through a premium monthly subscription. So it's not just a promotional app, it's also monetizing the band. The game earns around $700,000 a year, which is not big in the mobile gaming world, but it's a significant income stream for an artist. Other experiments with a band-focused game was Iron Maiden in its game Legacy of the Beast, which has been out since 2007. It has not been as lucrative as the BTS game, but it's not a marketing tool. It's a product in its own right. It's updated regularly with new content and storylines, and the band even did a tour based around the game. This is one way that artists can use games for more than just promotion. They can actually create these products that live and breathe on their own merits. One recent disappointment, however, came after games developer Glue Mobile put out a game based on Kim Kardashian West. It was very successful, so they tried to follow it up with games based on other famous artists such as Britney Spears and Nicki Minaj. But those games did not succeed. The expectation was that because of the high profile of these artists, the games would be successful, but they weren't. So mobile gaming is a tough world, even for big stars. There are other examples of simpler games that are less risky, such as a game put out on a mobile platform by Ministry of Sound's DJ Regard, where you just run along and jump over obstacles. The artist Lauv had a mobile game based on Flappy Bird, which was connected to Spotify, and as users played the game, they would listen to his music at the same time. These are not expensive, and you can make an engaging and fun game that fans will play for a week or two around the time that you're releasing a new track. One of the biggest things that happened this year in gaming is related to Fortnite. If you're a parent, you probably know what Fortnite is. Fortnite was the biggest game of the year for the last 2 years in terms of making money. In the game, you basically run around shooting other people. There's a lot of different ways to play it and modes, but at its heart, it's an action game where you try to kill people in order to win. Some of the stats surrounding Fortnite are that the game had over 350 million registered players by May 2020, which is up from 250 million in March 2019. In April 2020 alone, Fortnite players spent 3.2 billion hours in the game. There was an estimated $1.8 billion of estimated revenue in 2019, so this is huge. The game's publisher, Epic Games, was reportedly valued at $17 billion in June 2020, making the company that makes Fortnite bigger in value than Warner Music, for example. The game is popular among adults and children, and it's the biggest game for tweens and teenagers. But it's not just a game, it's also a platform where kids can hang out and talk to their friends, especially during the COVID-19 crisis when they can't do that in person. Fortnite has a history of experimenting with music. In February 2019, it hosted a virtual concert by the dance music star Marshmello, and over 10 million people logged on to watch. If you think about the music industry, that's really amazing because what concert has more than 10 million spectators? When Marshmello took the stage inside of Fortnite, it wasn't just a glimpse of the future. It was also the biggest moment in Fortnite's history. On February 2nd, Fortnite had its biggest event day ever, with 10.7 million players showing up to the Marshmallow Concert. It's also important to note that the 10.7 million only includes those who experienced the concert in-game. But if you factor in those who watched the live stream on Twitch and other platforms, the number is much, much larger. Around the same time last year, the rock band Weezer got its own island in Fortnite. You would go to the stage and play the 4 tracks that Weezer had just released. And then in February this year, Rick Astley's most famous hit became one of the emotes in Fortnite. For those who don't know, emotes are the dances that you do when you win in Fortnite to celebrate. So you could buy Rick Astley's track, complete with recorded music, which was the first time that we've seen music licensed in Fortnite in this way. Then in April of this year, Fortnite's biggest event was a series of performances by the US rapper Travis Scott. Over the course of a weekend, they turned a pre-recorded performance into a virtual event within Fortnite's world. I'll give you the big numbers first. 12.3 million people attended the first performance, and over the weekend, 27.7 million unique viewers attended the performance over 5 broadcasts. During the performance, Travis Scott debuted a new track, and when it was released on Spotify at the same time as the game, it broke first day stream records of 7.45 million. This wasn't just a pre-recorded performance that they played within the game. They turned it into a virtual experience where Travis Scott was flying in the air or going into the water, and they tried to make it unrealistic and this amazing game-like thing, and it was spectacular. Fortnite also launched another side platform that's not necessarily as big as the Marshmello or Travis Scott events, and it's called Party Royale. So it works basically like Fortnite, except that you don't build ramps and you don't run around killing people, but you can wander around the world and interact and go to one of the few stages that it has. A few weeks after being launched, they presented a series of concerts featuring DJ Aoki, Noah Cyrus, and Young Thug. So Fortnite now has a concert venue, and that's a really interesting thing for a game that has 350 million users. But it also brings up some questions, such as surrounding performance royalties. Are the artists getting the money from this when there's a performance playing their songs? There's a lot of questions about what happens when a game puts on music performances and broadcasts them to an audience of millions, and how the royalties are calculated and who they are paid to. But for artists, this is a really exciting platform for reaching new audiences and getting themselves out there, especially for playing live at a time when concerts are not happening because of COVID-19. Like Fortnite, with its 350 million users, people who go there to play and hang out, you can build islands and hang out and watch concerts in Party Royale as well. Other games also have that potential, and not just for consumption of music, but also for its creation. Starting with Minecraft, which has been around for 11 years. It's a game loved by children, but a lot of people think that kids don't play it anymore since Fortnite came around. But Minecraft still has 126 million users a month. In May, they organized an event called Block by Block West, which is kind of the Minecraft version of the music festival South by Southwest, where bands played and users attended virtual performances. As you can guess, it wasn't a festival for kids, but a big children's game platform was used to host a festival for grown-ups. There was also the festival within Minecraft called Electric Blockaloo, which is a huge dance music festival that happened inside of Minecraft. It didn't go too well, apparently, because there were some problems with people accessing the platform, and you also had to stream the music on a separate platform, which was Mixcloud, and so it had some issues. So it's not always an easy thing to just up and run a festival on a gaming platform such as this, but it is an area that is growing, and you can expect to see big developments in that area. Lastly, I just want to touch really quickly on virtual reality gaming and music. Not so much about virtual reality concerts, but how VR can be integrated with music. One virtual reality game that incorporates music is called Beatsaver, and it uses the same Guitar Hero model of things flying at you and you have to hit them in time to the music. So that's what you're seeing in this slide here, and if you have a VR headset, you would be waving your arms around like as if you were holding drumsticks. Beatsaver had sold more than 2 million copies by March of this year, and it did so well that Facebook bought the developer behind it last year. So Facebook now has a music rhythm game, which is super interesting. They've also have licensing, and they've been working with a small but growing number of artists to put their tracks into the game, including Green Day and Panic at the Disco. Last time they gave a number, it had sold 10 million songs within the game. So as you can see, there are huge opportunities out there for artists to promote themselves, perform, and even create music within the virtual world of games. As the world continues to navigate the current pandemic by staying inside more than usual, there's no doubt these two industries will grow exponentially over the next year or two. Artists who have until now relied on live performances as their main source of revenues should jump into the game, and fast. Thank you so much for your attention.